Hit it. Mad Genius of rock and roll. Mad Genius of rock and roll.
Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm your host, the amazing Super Chris. Thank you for joining me today. It is Saturday, Sci-Fi Saturday. We're going to have some fun. I have got a friend of mine, Dave from Captive Desk. He's in the green room back there, chilling, chillaxing, waiting eagerly, white-knuckled even, as it were, for us to talk Star Trek. Oh, yes, finally. An entire episode dedicated entirely to Star Trek. I'm getting all misty-eyed. We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to talk some fun Star Trek. Oh, I've got one for you. Check out this.
So this is where it all ends. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Home of the balloon fiesta and the stolen car capital of the world. I used to love it here. The years of crawling through the worst the city has to offer has taken its toll. But what if I told you that this beautiful little cesspool of the city was going to be the launching point for a war that could wipe mankind from the face of the earth? Yeah, I didn't believe it either. But here we are.
All right, and we are back. Guess who I got? I got Dave from Captive Desk is here with us today, joining us. How are you doing, Dave?
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Glad you could be here with us. Let's go here. Boop. There you go. I got your thing up. Now you're there. Now you're in the captain's chair with me. Good to have you on. Thank you for joining me. Pseudo History. Let me say hi to everyone. Pseudo History is here. Says Kirk's not dead. He lives. I believe that's probably true based on what I saw in the Picard movie. Yeah, he probably lives. The real Jesus says, hey, everyone, Dad hardly ever watches this stream, so I'm hiding here. He's out of Xanax again. Praise you. We will, actually, in fact. And he really does need his Xanax, or at least like some toast in the morning to keep him from getting all low-carb angry.
It is early for me. The Captive Desk is not an early riser, but
no.
To hang out with you all and talk Star Trek, I am here, and I got my tea. So
you got your tea, huh?
I got my tea.
So great to have you with us. Pseudo History. Let's see. Simply Secular Dave. There's Dave Con. Apparently, there's a Dave Con going on somewhere. Scott Duke said, "Oh yeah, popped in. It just we were waiting for you, Scott. And then we were like, okay, he's here. So we decided we could go ahead and go. So thank you for showing up. Let me go here. I'm just checking something real quick. Oh, mama. Okay, you got a Yeti. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Guys, we're going to talk some Star Trek this morning. Left-handed Jedi.
Of course I have a Yeti. Come on, Chris. What other kind of microphone would I have?
I don't know. I have a Yeti. I had two. I've been through them. Yeah. Left-handed Jedi morning Padawans. For those of you who are into the protesting, there are protest links. There's a link to up at the top, 50501 protest for today, 5051 protest for today. Some places it's going to be very yucky. It's going to be very yucky and windy and wet here. And yeah, so it's going to, I don't know what kind of impact that's going to have. Let me briefly, because I'm into sci-fi and nerdy stuff. When we moved here to this little place years ago, 3 years ago now, almost 3 years ago. Yeah, we were so excited. We were finally getting our little dream home. We were going to put solar on it and all that stuff, And we got here, and this is a red zone. You can't do solar. So they don't have enough taps for us to put solar on. All the other houses, well, not all of them, a lot of the other houses around here have solar. So we've been waiting to get solar for years. And then finally, they've opened up our area to where we can get solar. So they're coming out today to help us get set up for possibly getting solar. So that's happening for us in the cold, in the rain, in the wet, in the yucky. So there's that. Good morning, Vic Lit. Thank you. Get a goat candle. Hangry Gods. Oh, that's right. Vic Lit. Oops, lost track of time. You are here, but we just got started, Vic. So But one of the things I'm doing for our future protests, because I'm going to continue, and I found a new local place, just to talk about this briefly before we get our sci-fi stuff on. I found a local skeptic group here, which I'm very grateful that I was able to find because I didn't want to have to build one. I'd rather join one than build one. And so I found them today. I tried to join their meetup group. We'll see how that goes on, meetup on the internet. So we'll see. Good morning, Tsumami. Thank you for joining us. Are y'all ready for some sci-fi talk? Live long and prosper, says Trey Zach Daniels. Awesome. Everyone.
Sure.
Good morning. Oh, yeah. And I have Star Trek shirts. I'm just not, yeah. That's what I was going to do, and I forgot. I was going to wear, I have a thing, and Pips, yeah, I got the whole thing. I just didn't wear it. Good morning, Carrie Ann. Nice to have you with us. All the cool kids are here. So let me ask you, so we can get started real quick. If you don't mind, Dave, tell us who you are and what you're with, what channel you're with.
Dave at the Captive Desk, and I also have the Grassman Chronicles, where I mostly concentrate doing cryptids, ghost stories, aliens, stuff like that. And otherwise, on the Captive Desk, you never know what you're going to get. I do interviews, I do videos, I do Saturday Night at the Atheist with a panel every Saturday, a little bit of everything. I got my channel started just because I was a mouth in the chat, and I thought, I should put myself out there, so I could take the critique back. It's only fair.
Mm-hmm.
And Bread of Life made me Atheist of the Month. So I hopped on my phone, and I didn't have a camera, microphone, nothing. I just hopped on my phone and got on because she gave me this award, and it was kind of, it was fun and everything. And so that was my first time on YouTube. It was just hopping on my phone and accepting my little award thing, right? And it was because I was participating in the chat and everything. And then I made a connection there, and one of them said, well, hey, if you want to do something, right? So I said, all right. So I set up the channel, and I got back with Brian, and that was my first video. We just sat down, had a nice little chat. So it all kind of got started over at Bread of Life, and then we kind of had a little falling out, and I'm not welcome there anymore, unfortunately. But she did say hi to me the other day, so I debunked a miracle healing video that she did, and I kind of fell out of favor after that. So.
That'll do that. Yeah.
It was nice. I just, it was a great story, actually. This lady, Deli Knox, if you've ever heard of her, she was in a wheelchair, and now she's walking. It's a great story. Okay. It is. But it's a great story of her working hard, doing a lot of physical therapy and everything, And for any of you folks out there that are in a situation, hang in there. Do your physical therapy. Listen to the folks. They know what they're doing. They know how to keep everything moving. And unfortunately, not everybody gets out of a wheelchair, but it can improve, whatever injuries you may have. So, but it was a great story. And, of course, the church had to taint it. They had to put her in a big show and put the hands on and, all the thing. And she got out of the wheelchair, but she had already been out of the wheelchair when she was discharged from physical therapy.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that kind of always has pissed me off is whenever some theist or otherwise believer in something takes credit for science or medicine or whatever, natural healing, and gives that credit to some sort of crystal or a god or some business like that, whenever it was either hard work or medicine that took care of it.
She has a great story. I mean, getting up out of a wheelchair is a great story, adding the things to it and everything. I think it really ruined what's a great story of hard work and science and medicine and how far physical therapies come.
Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd be interested in seeing it. There's this town, I think, somewhere in Arizona or something like that, where I don't remember. It's a long time. I have a Christian friend who is arguing that they have a preponderance of healing over there, miraculous healing. It's been a while. And to me, it's all the same kind of thing. It's science, any kind of, they claim to have doctors proving miracles and stuff, and yet they're not going around doing all these miracles everywhere. Only there in their own controlled little environment. And then you have people who later on come in, I was actually part of that, and that's not really what happened. That bothers me, you know. I have a sister, and we're going to start.
The biggest problem with the whole story is her husband is supposedly a faith healer.
Oh, okay.
But what was he waiting for all those years? You know what I mean? You know,
the irony.
Now they're doing very well, though. They fly around the world, slapping people on the foreheads all over the place, and they really milked it really well. So.
Eek. There you go. You got your thing. Thank you for posting your link. Yeah, that's weird. Let me catch up real quick. Scott Duke said, figured I'd teach him something. Oh, good morning, Scott. Nice to have you there. Seeing you around. Top Tester says, I guess I'll start watching Star Trek if we're going to keep talking about it. Well, I mean, Top Tester, my friend, I would not lie to you. I would not mislead you in saying that Star Trek is the best show ever. Matter of fact, Dave here has an episode, I think, in mind that you'd like to cover specifically. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, I was thinking about some stuff to do. And,
okay.
I was
go ahead.
You know, go ahead.
The real Jesus says, I tried walking on water yesterday, but I started to sink because of the holes in my feet. That would make sense, of course. Dad in his therapy. Dad is in therapy and has a cat now. That's good. I dig it. All right. So you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I think my screen dropped off on me, Chris.
Your screen.
It looks blue to me.
Oh yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe it's some button I'm pushing. I don't know. But
there you go.
Yeah, it's something.
It's back.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, I got it back up there.
So we were talking earlier before we started. You know, I grew up watching the original Star Trek reruns. You know, over and over and over. We would watch them over and over. That and I was trying to think of what else, and it was probably that and Lost in Space were probably the two that were on TV the most. And you know, coming out of landing on the moon and everything, of course, I was just a baby, but few years later, you know, it's still in everybody's mind, and all, you know, Star Trek coming out, and yeah, it was amazing, you know, and but watching it and the imagination and the possibility, because we already have space travel, you know, so it was no longer just imagination; it was a possibility to travel space. So yeah, just watching it, and you know, it didn't have the greatest effects. Sometimes you had to let your imagination, you know, like with reading a book or something, you know, and yeah, they didn't have the best aliens and everything. The makeup, you know, was often on a budget and all that, but it didn't matter. You know, it didn't matter. It was great to watch it over and over and over. And I was thinking, with the state of affairs these days, and one of the original Star Treks, the one that comes to mind for me is the one with Frank Gorshin, with the black and white and the white and black.
Yeah. It has been so long since I've seen that. Many moons. I'm sure I watched it whenever me and the evil one went back and watched the entire series a few years ago. But I don't remember much about it outside of, you know, the basics. You know, they don't like each other because the color's on the wrong side.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. And yeah, it's a race of people that are painted right down the middle, half black, half white, but it's on the opposite sides. So of course, you know, Dr. Seuss, you know, with on the R's, right? It's on the wrong side, or they have stars on the R's. Is that what it was? So yeah, they battling it out. They end up taking over the Enterprise and everything. They've got this super mind control and everything. And then it ends up, they get back to their planet, and everybody's gone. They just annihilated each other. And so the two of them just go at each other's throats. And Kirk and the decision was, well, we're just going to leave them there. That's all they can do. Sadly, they don't know anything better. Even after everybody had been gone, they just, to the end, taking each other out just because, there was the doctor examined and everything, medical exam, and they had some kind of mutation where it flipped sides or whatever, But it's a powerful thing on how they could exterminate each other over something like that. A message to us, right? That
Absolutely.
terrible thing, and for absolutely no reason other than something as silly as black on one side, white on the other side.
Right. Absolutely the truth. Let me see here. I made a note of something. Somebody in the chat requested Buck Rogers. See, all you got to do is a request. So next week, I will put Buck Rogers on my list, and I will do Buck Rogers. I enjoyed me some Buck Rogers back in the day. So Buck Rogers for Sci-Fi Saturday.
Tiki, bitty, 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 bitty,
Meaty, yeah.
And of course, Frank Gorshin, that played this character on Star Trek, also played the Riddler on the original Batman.
On Batman, that's right. Yeah. I enjoyed him. Let's see. Sue the Lost Saucer, Robert Madewell. Robert Madewell, nice to see you back again. It's been a while. Life is a Racket or Science. So do you have a preferred Wilma Deering? Oh my goodness. Oh, you are so right, Left-Handed Jedi. Whenever I saw Buck Rogers, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, I know what we'll talk about. Never mind. Yes.
Yes. There was certain reasons we watched certain shows. I will have to admit it. I did not watch the Dukes of Hazzard for the storyline. Okay.
Not often. No. Yeah. True enough.
One Day at a Time was another one. I had a big crush on Valerie Bertinelli. Eddie Van Halen broke my heart when he stole her away from me.
That's how it went, huh? Yeah.
But that show was always, so dramatic and often, sad and everything, and I was a teenager. I didn't really want to watch a sad show, but watched it loyally every week.
For her. Yeah.
Bertinelli was there.
I had the hots for her too. I thought she was something else.
Terminally cute. Terminally cute. Still to this day, she is.
Yamato, Carrie Ann Chrysler, the cartoon with the battleship in space. Battleship Yamato, I believe, is the name of the cartoon. Yeah. Some of those, they even made a live action movie about that. Some of that. I'd have to catch up on some of those. You know what, man? I tell you, I'm so tempted to cast away all my cares as far as this atheist, left-wing political bullshit and just spend my life dedicated to reviewing sci-fi and just change everything to sci-fi show, and I'll just sit around masturbating and watching sci-fi. I'm thinking about it. Maybe not watching sci-fi so much, but lots of masturbating for sure. Anyway,
that's why I like doing a lot of the other stuff, because tackling a lot of the apologists and creationists, and often a lot of them say awful things. And, it can be kind of a bummer, right? And so I cover Bigfoot, and, I got one coming up. My next one coming up, by the way, is going to be on the Puckwudgies. And one of the reasons is because I love saying Puckwudgie. It's just
Puckwudgie?
Puckwudgie.
That's a good word. That's two words, right? Puckwudgie? A wedgie that a puck would get? Okay, what is a Puckwudgie?
A Puckwudgie is about a 2 to 3 foot cryptid that has porcupine quills on its back. Oh. And it can be pretty ornery and chase you off.
Does it walk on 2 legs?
It
walks on 2 legs?
Yep.
So it's got a spiny thing. It's about 2 or 3 feet tall and it walks on 2 legs. That sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Kind of, yeah. But they're ornery. They come from the Northeast all the way through Ohio into Indiana. And I've been trying to cover the Ohio cryptids. My show is my other channel, and what I do most of them under is the Grassman Chronicles. the grass man in Ohio is what we call Bigfoot. Okay, so
I didn't know that.
I've already covered the grass man because obviously that's the channel, right? And then I did Mothman with Joe, because Joe lives down in that area from the Kentucky Atheist.
Okay.
So we covered Mothman. And then recently I did Bessie, which is our Lake Erie monster. So I figured, well, I should wrap up, the Ohios, right? So most of this year is going to be filling in. There's about a dozen cryptids or so in Ohio. So I'm going to be covering those. Yeah, we've got a big frog. We got a big snake. We've got orange eyes, which is another cousin of the Bigfoot, and a couple others, including the Pukwudgie. So Pukwudgie's up first because every time I say it, I just love saying Pukwudgie.
It's a fun word. It is. That's why I asked if it was
Pukwudgie.
Gotcha. Bree is here. Bree does cryptids. I'm sure you know Bree.
Heck yes, I know Bree. Bree is near and dear to me. I've been on with Bree, her channel, and Bree's been on my channel. I often consult with Bree, and Bree sends me tips too. Have you ever heard of this? And
really,
I take tips, by the way. I was just talking with Big Bad Mama the other day. I covered the Borrego Sandman, which is a desert type of Bigfoot. And it was because Big Bad Mama said, hey, have you heard of the Borrego Sandman? So, yeah, if you've heard of a cryptid, especially ones that, maybe somebody hasn't heard of, send it to me. I'd love to cover it.
There's a question in the chat for you. It's from Muttley Von Erich. Says, to clarify, are you debunking cryptids or trying to prove them? Or what's your position in your show?
I stayed completely neutral. I don't like to pick on people, so to speak, for claiming they saw things, because they probably saw something, right? So I don't like to call people, silly or a liar or anything like that. I like to, examine it, right? And then leave it out there. Here's possibilities, or maybe it was a Bigfoot, right? So I try to put both, all of it out there and just let you decide. I'm not picking sides. I am a skeptic, but it doesn't mean that there aren't some critters out there running around that people are seeing. And often we find out that some of these are actually animals that have diseases and stuff like that. So people actually did see these things with, whatever deformity, right? Was it supernatural? Often, no, that's not the case. But they did see something, right? So I don't want to tell somebody that you didn't see something.
Right. Well, one of my puppies has a thyroid issue, and before we found out what was wrong with her, she had lost pretty much all her hair. She looked kind of rough, and I used to call her my little chupacabra puppy dog.
See, that's a perfect example.
Yep.
They found what the chupacabra was. It was a hairless dog, things running around. And
mange,
if anybody's seen any of the videos where they shave an animal in a zoo or something, some surgery or something, it's the old wet rat thing, right? They don't look right when they're all not furry and everything,
True.
So it can be very odd to see if you run into something that's missing just its hair.
Right. I want to embrace a fellow Star Trek soul in the chat. Imperious, thank you for joining us. Imperious has spoken to my heart and has said that Star Trek died after the Rick Berman era, then said nothing after Voyager before Enterprise is actually canon. I'm going to cry. I'm just going to cry. And then says something else. Did they say Imperious? I mean, if that was all they said, that was fantastic. I don't know if you're still here, Imperious, but that was fantastic. I feel the same way. If you want to know my secret thoughts, now some people really like the original series. I dig it, appreciate it. I was introduced to the Next Generation. The Next Generation, in my mind, extends to Deep Space Nine and Voyager. After that came Enterprise, and they wanted to shift gears and try to make it a little different. And the Enterprise, in my opinion, was not the best Star Trek. You know, wasn't really bad. It was kind of, some of it was bad, but but it was Star Trek. You know. Oh, yeah. Discovery, on the other hand,
I take them for all
wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, for what they are. You know what I mean? You don't try to compare them, one to another, or it's not going to work out right.
Right.
Just watch and try to enjoy it or not.
Vic says, but there's a reason why cryptids are still cryptid. Oh, I get that. Old Trek would have been even better if it weren't for Rick. What really? I'm not sure. I know the type of Trek I like, and I don't know where his reign began or ended, to be honest. But I do know I like those shows. I was, since we're talking Enterprise, talking about Star Trek, obviously Star Trek. I actually, again, Enterprise was okay, but it just wasn't my bag. I enjoyed some of the characters, didn't enjoy a lot of it. It was, stuff. That's just personal stuff to me. But there was other things like Shran. Do you remember Shran? Played by Jeffrey Combs. All right, so I guess I ought to ask you now, which Star Treks have you seen? Are you familiar with, series-wise?
I've probably seen all of them.
Gotcha.
I can't name, every episode by name or anything like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, and don't forget Star Trek, the motion picture, right? That was a big moment, right?
Yeah, it was.
Before all the other series came out. We were having Star Trek withdrawals. We had that short amount of seasons, and we'd watched them over and over and over. And then the motion picture came out. And it was like, oh boy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's back to, and it was everybody back together. They brought everybody back together and made the movie. And that was really an incredible thing to have. And then, Next Generation and everything. And, I love Picard. I was a great character. And that was something else I wanted to mention. One of the most powerful episodes, I just watched the video clip, is when, after he was Borg, right? Mm-hmm. And then he goes back home and he gets into the fight with his brother in the mud puddle, right? In the vineyard. And then he has that emotional breakdown, right? Where they made me do things and take people out, and there was nothing I could do about it. And he breaks down. That one was very powerful. The whole after the Borg thing,
Yep. The movie was, like you said, man. People were clamoring, waiting for new Star Trek.
Amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. It was.
The same thing happened in 2009, I think. Now, in 2009, at least when they came out with the new Star Trek, they really did have. They had Enterprise that had been going, you had all those other ones. It wasn't the same as coming off the original series and going for years and not knowing if you were ever going to get any more Star Trek or not. Yeah. And then, bam, they got a movie coming out. That was fantastic. There were those who were disappointed with the movie, liked the movie, good, bad, I don't care. But it did revive the show, and without it, it wouldn't have. Now, The Wrath of Khan is one of my favorite movies. Very much enjoy me some Wrath of Khan.
One of my favorite characters is Ricardo. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. He does fantastic. Good morning, Ozzo. Thank you for joining us.
And then again, they brought him back for the movie. I mean,
oh yeah,
some of these things were truly amazing, because often nowadays you don't get the person back. And how many times you wish they would make another movie or another episode, and it never happens. This actually did, and then bringing back the original Ricardo Montalban to play Khan again. That it was just amazing. It truly
was great. Yeah. Now that is amazing. Cannot deny that. But let me blow your mind even more, in case you didn't know. I'm sure you did know. Okay, so that was maybe 10 years after the series had died. 79, I think, is when it came out. Yeah, so around 10 years-ish when it came out. Now, in the original series, you had John Calicos, Michael Ansara, and another man, Billy something, I can't remember his name. Those three actors played Klingons on the original series. And then 30 some odd years later, in the 90s, they came back to play the same characters in Deep Space Nine, playing Core and I can't remember all their names. But yeah, so that too was fantastic. Great show.
I just saw a video. I don't remember the guy's name, but he said he was talking about the new Star Trek movies. And he said, you got rebellion and everything. He says, you need graffiti. He's some artist or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the graffiti in one of the Star Wars. So it was kind of like, rebellion, you need graffiti. So he did the graffiti work. And when it came time to pay him, he said, put me in the movie. He goes, I want to be in a Star Trek movie. Right?
There you go.
So I think is he a Klingon or something? But he's got like just a couple seconds, it's just boop, there he is, but just, he's like, I'm in a Star Trek movie. So yeah, he skipped the pay in favor of a cameo.
That is awesome. I would totally do that. And then I'd show up at every Star Trek convention going, I'm that guy in two frames in that one show. That's me. Sign my autograph. Give me $10.
Well, if you pay attention, when I was looking through some of the stuff, and they will have the same person's name repeated in the credits. So in the same episode, the same person played different parts.
I'm sorry, say that again.
They would have the same person playing different parts in the same episode, because again, the original Star Trek was on a budget. So some of the actors, they would play one part, then they would go put on a mask or something. Yeah. Yeah. So if you look through the credits, you'll see that they were in it's not across episodes, it's in the same episode, they'll play different characters. And then of course, a lot of people mention Lost in Space. Lost in Space and Star Trek used to share masks.
Oh,
so if you pay attention, it might be blue to green or, a different color. Then maybe a little paint on it, and maybe stick antennas or something. But everybody being on a budget, they would share aliens. So you'll notice similar looking aliens on Star Trek and Lost in Space.
Right. I've seen some of those things, some of the similar costumes they've moved before. Left-Handed Jedi says the actor who plays Trelane also played the Klingon warrior, and that's who one of the Klingon warriors I was talking about. I'm looking for his name. Trelane, William Campbell. William Campbell. He played Trelane and Core, I think. The squad, and they're even going to, if you're not, let me share this in case for those of you who are not familiar with who Trelane is. Boop. Share. So now on the screen, you should be able to hopefully see Trelane. This was Trelane from the Squire of Gothos, one of the first episodes of Star Trek. And now they're actually taking it to where they believe he is a Q, and they're going to introduce him in the new upcoming Strange New Worlds as a Q, I believe. We've seen some hints that they're going to turn him into, backstory him into being a Q. Anyway, Trelane actor as Klingon. Here he played Captain Core. That's not him. There he is, right there. Koloth. Same actor. Many years later. This is him as a Klingon during the original series. And I think, I could be wrong. No, he wasn't the first Klingon. I think John Calicos was the first Klingon. So he's Koloth, John Calicos as a Klingon. Let's go here. Boom. Oh, I missed him, didn't I? Let me go here. Stop sharing. Boom.
Trelane's one of the ones on the list here that.
Yes, and he's also one of those who's going to be showing up in the future episodes of the original series as a character.
And another favorite that I came across, Harry Mudd. Remember Harry Mudd?
Harry Mudd. Yes, I remember Harry Mudd.
He was like a con man, right? Always pulling some shady deals, one step ahead of the law and everything.
Yes. So,
and then he brought his wife. They brought his wife in. Remember, as
oh yeah,
was she? They made her a robot or something. And,
yes.
And she's just chirping in his ear, Harry Mudd, Harry Mudd, Harry.
Yes.
And
I remember.
That was kind of his punishment at the end of the episode, because he had all those beautiful android women or whatever they were.
They were androids. Yep.
And yeah.
Yep.
So then they stuck him with a replica of his wife at the end.
Yes. I remember seeing that. And that was one of the things, of course. Have you seen Discovery? Because they bring him back in Discovery. Okay. No, it's Strange New Worlds. They bring him back. They bring back the character of Harry Mudd. Actually, I think he's in both. I think he does an episode in both Discovery. They bring the character back. The actor's long since passed. Yeah. But they bring the character back.
Yeah, I say that's again that, how many of the folks, I mean, they passed out, later on, but, they managed to come back after all those years and make 5-6 motion pictures before anybody passed away. It was, incredible. It was.
That's true.
We didn't have to, sadly people pass away, but yeah, that whole group managed to hang around, and Captain Kirk's still going strong.
Yeah, he really is. I met him about 2 years ago.
He looks great for his age, doesn't he?
He really does.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I remember a couple of years ago thinking, man, we better get our autograph with him now because he's 90 and overweight. Yeah. So let's, and yet here he is, 92, still kicking. But when he does pass, that's going to be a thing. That's going to be the whole Star Trek nerd world there's going to be quakes in the nerd world. Ember says, go ahead.
Is he the only one left now? Or no, wait. No, Mr. Sulu's still around.
Yes. George Takei. And
Takei's still around.
Yeah, and Sulu. Not Sulu.
Chekhov.
I can't remember. Now, did you ever watch Babylon 5?
Just a little bit.
Okay, because damn it, what is Chekhov's name? Anyway, that actor also played on Babylon 5 as Alfred. Al, I can't remember, as a bad guy. Man, my memory is shit nowadays for these shows. Walter Koenig, thank you. I had lunch right across from Walter Koenig, and I had breakfast right across from George Takei when we were on a Star Trek cruise. I didn't pester either one of them. That would have been rude. But I did try to give the evil one to the doctor from Voyager because he's her favorite doctor. But alas, he couldn't. He thought about it for a second.
I'm looking at the list here.
Alfred Bester. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, from the originals. Yeah, we got. Yeah, those are the three that are left. And what about Nurse Chapel? Is she still around?
Oh, she passed away a long time ago.
She passed away.
She passed away.
So then those are the three that are left then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are the only three from the original series that are left. Several of them from the Deep Space Nine have passed away. The one who played Nog has passed away. Aaron Eisenberg, I think. Not Eisenberg, something like that. I'm sorry, Aaron, if you're watching. And Renee Auberjonois, who played Odo, he passed away not long back. Majel Barrett was the computer voice, and she was also Loxana Troy. Majel Barrett was Nurse Chapel from the original show.
I know Will Wheaton makes appearances on Big Bang because they have that little thing going with Will Wheaton. So
they did, yeah.
I would see him often on there.
Yeah.
And my wife came across, was watching some old Night Court episodes, and Data, Brent Spiner, had that character on Night Court that was just great, where he was like the yokel, and him and his missus would always have some tragedy, like their chicken coop exploded or something like that. That was a great character.
He had his life savings there in that tin can that he'd carry with him.
Yeah.
I remember
They have grandma's ashes with him, or so. It was always
it was always something.
It was always an incredible thing. Yeah. That was
Good morning, Brent.
Character.
It was. Brent, I'm curious. Brent, are you into Star Trek too? I'm just curious if you're going to be doing the Star Trek. Majel Barrett was a hoot. She was married to Gene Roddenberry. For as long as she lived, she voiced every ship computer she did. And my understanding is before she passed away, she went and left a repertory of her voice so they could continue to use her voice for the future. Awesome. Yep. One of the things, though, is that some of the old Star Trek, when you watch it, got really, really hard to watch, from our viewpoint today. Upon a rewatch, some of it's great. Watching Kirk and Spock and all that, but other parts, not so great. The final episode, I could understand why it would be the final episode. Are you familiar with it? It's the one where some woman that he wronged, or she feels like he wronged in the past, she takes over his body, switches bodies with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in that episode, that's the very last one, we get to see what William Shatner and the writers of the show get to think women think about, and or how they feel and all this stuff. And it was really, really a hard watch. So it did need some. It wasn't perfect. Let me see. What I'm gonna do real quick. Love Trek. That's great, Brent. Me too. I'm really enjoying that. I dare not ask. Have you seen the new Strange New Worlds yet, Dave?
No, I haven't.
Gotcha. Like Dave's not here, man.
I was looking down the list here. I was trying to find the name. I can't see her on the list here. The green lady that did the dance for.
Yeah, she also played the woman in the pilot episode with Christopher Pike. Same woman.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. Where the blonde chick in the cage, the blonde beautiful woman in the cage, the episode of The Cage. Yep. Yeah. Strange New World.
The Menagerie.
The Menagerie. Well, I guess the Menagerie too. The Menagerie is a two-parter. It's actually 2 episodes. The Menagerie is. It's a.
Is that the one? Is that the one where you're talking where she's locked in
the original episode called The Cage it was with Captain Pike.
Right.
It was a pilot episode with Captain Pike. The blonde woman in that episode is the same woman who danced in the green thing.
Gotcha.
The Menagerie is a 2-part episode where they didn't really have the money to do a show, so they used The Cage and they had Spock take over the Enterprise. And so in that 2-parter, you got to see clips of the original Cage, and yes, she was in that too. But I'm talking about, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
I really enjoyed The Cage because I like Pike over Kirk, says Vic Litt.
Yeah, I brought that up because we were talking about aliens the one day, and I said, I was kidding around. I said, my wife gave me a hall pass. I said, if the aliens come down, land in my yard, and take me for a ride, I got a hall pass to get a lap dance from the green Star Trek lady. So,
that's awesome.
There you go.
No, that's great. Vic Litt says, I know it's blasphemous. It's one of my strong opinions on Trek that she likes Pike over Kirk. It's tough. I don't know. Kirk is okay. He's not my favorite. Let's see. Who's married to Daniel Craig? It's Rachel Weisz is married to Daniel Craig, is my understanding. But yeah, let's see. Graydon Square is another fun sci-fi crew. I've heard about that. I want to run a quick commercial. I'm going to go top off my coffee. So you'll have about 2 minutes if you want, Dave, to go get a cup of coffee. And we'll be back in just a minute, guys. We're going to continue talking some sci-fi Star Trek stuff.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say, no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
We're almost back. Here we go. All right. And we are back mostly. OB Atheist says, love me some Graydon Square. I've heard the name before. I've got to check it out again. Evan Sachs, excellent ad is excellent. It's on point, isn't it? Really, it is. You should also see the fascism ad we run occasionally. Let's see here. Now, I want to warn you guys again. In case you missed it earlier, I'm going to be leaving early today on this show, and no worries, just things going on in the world. For those of you who are unaware, there are protests going all across the country. We've got a link in the top up there, so if you can, go do the thing at the place. Absolutely, it's going to be, it really needs to happen. And I found some things here locally in Albuquerque, and I've got some connections I'm looking into to start, not today at all, for future plans and growing some, I don't want to say, let me just say, joining. Hopefully there's already a group there and I can join them. And so that's what we're talking about. Let's see. Amber says, there are flavors of ice that exist at very high temperatures. If they are high enough pressure as well, perhaps the center of the earth meets the necessary. I want to mention that, there's a whole bunch of different phases of ice. Ice has many. It's not just frozen water. Yeah, ice. Ice has many different flavors of ice, yes, if you will. Good morning, Joe. How are you doing? Joe with the Kentucky Atheist has joined us this morning. Thank you for joining us. The Planet of Apes had plenty of fascism in it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, do you have a favorite character or any of that business? Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, I was talking with Deconverted Man. He's a big Star Trek and sci-fi fan. And he said, I saw you're going to be talking about Star Trek. And he brought up Rightful Heir. And I think one of my favorite characters on Next Generation, of course, is Worf. The whole, one of the episodes, they had kind of a joke about, remember the Klingons originally just kind of had the mustache and, the evil goatee thing, and that made them the bad guys, right? And then they come back with and there's a joke in one of the episodes about there was a mutation or something like that Worf says that explains, just that quick why they look like they do now from, originally. But yeah, he mentioned, and yeah, I think you were talking about it on another Saturday, is the episode of Rightful Heir.
Yes. Well, there's a couple of things that I may, if I can split some hairs. The time whenever he talks about what happened to their head happened in the episode called The Trials and Tribulations, which was, or The Trouble with Tribbles, one or the other. Whenever Deep Space Nine characters went back in time and they were on the space station K7, I believe. And when the other Klingons came in without that, and the humans saw them like, what happened to them? Worf just brushed it off with something. It was something really, really, like you say, it was really simple. It's something we don't talk about. And it was,
and that was like, it. That explained.
We don't talk about it. Yes, and it wasn't until Enterprise, the series Enterprise, where they actually gave you an explanation that it was some kind of virus, where a virus going through the Klingon species that made them look human for a while, and then they got the fix. So that was that's great, fun times. The other one you're talking about, where Worf is the whole stuff he's going through with the Klingon. Is that the one where this Klingon comes up to Picard and starts talking smack, and Picard's like, "You're welcome to test that assumption at your earliest convenience."
Yeah, it's the god. It's the Klingon god, and they test. What is it? Kalis.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Kalis, yes.
It's for all the skeptics out there, of which many of us are. There's Kalis. There's supposedly Jesus in front of you, and so to speak. But he's like, oh, wait a minute, let's put this to the test. Let's just not drop to our knees, right?
Right. That's a good one. That is a good one.
I wanted to mention that it's not only a good one, but Deconverted Man said, "Oh, you got to bring up that one." So I think Chris was already talking about it. I said I will mention it.
Oh, yeah.
Deconverted Man, great friend of my show, of my channel. He's helped me out a lot over the years, and he's got his own unique thing going on there. It's not for everybody. But, he's always been very helpful to the channel, and I appreciate it.
Yes.
He makes funny little ditties up and cartoons and sends them in my email and everything. And, it just brightens up your day to have something funny in your email, So,
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Appreciate all the friends of the channel, Cheers to all the friends of the channels. We appreciate you very much. Ember is another great one. I see so many great friends of the channel out there. Thank you very much, everybody. And speaking of, if you're not a subscriber of my channel yet, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. So,
if you don't mind posting a link for them there, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, help me out. Get me to that 500, and I'll get some Bigfoot emojis. Okay, so we can have Bigfoot.
There you go. Bigfoot emojis. That's a great idea. I like the Bigfoot emojis. One of the things, there was another time where Picard and the crew of the Enterprise ran into some people and somehow got exposed, and they believed him to be a god of some kind. My memory's kind of off on this one possibly, but somebody comes to him and says, "Listen, man, just play the God role for a little while, get us out of this problem, and then we'll go away." And he's like, no, I will not entrap a people in a mindset of rules of religion and all that stuff. I will not do that. No. I don't remember the particulars of that, but that's another episode, another point where he refutes religion, organized religion, and all that business. That's a great one.
And the one where they kind of brought indigenous tribes into it, remember, where they had the temple that was the missile deflector, and they were worshiping the temple thing, and then it turned out inside it was a missile deflector system that somebody
asteroid
on the planet, or asteroid, and then what he hit his head or something. And he ended up falling in love with the lady there, and everything was going. And then they finally, what was it? He was missing or something, and they finally found him and everything. And then Spock says, "Oh, wait a minute, you've got the fix right here." And he goes inside, and it shoots a little beam out and saves the planet.
Saves the day.
Yeah.
That's true. Unclean Unicorn, good morning. Cool name. Who watches the Watchers? That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Well, all right, that's cool. In that particular episode, they land there. They're checking out that power source signal they're seeing there, and it's that big thing, and Kirk goes to open his communicator. I think there was a storm even or something happened. He opened his communicator, and the sound from his communicator triggered the door to open, which was a sliding thing, and he fell in. And when he fell in, he hit his head. And then the door closed above him.
And then he comes out, so they think he's like
later. Yeah. So yeah, that was Yep. So that's good stuff. Chris, what was the episode of? Yeah, what was the episode when the people worshipped the first officer in the planet, evolved, and finally outgrew religion? Oh, I remember there was something about that. Also in the Orville's really good, man. The main antagonist, the species that wants to kill and oppress everybody else in the galaxy in the Orville. Are you familiar with the Orville?
I've seen it a few times. Yeah.
They're hyper religious people. That's their whole bag. And they're completely white. It's really like a blue color, a bluish white. But I mean, like, their skin color is really, so it says it's a lot of cultural.
Another cultural episode was when they brought Kirk on to that planet because they wanted his illness that he had, because the people didn't die, remember? And when you see outside the window, everybody's shoulder to shoulder because there's so many people, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of those things. Yeah, there's a reason we don't live forever, right? Be careful what you wish for type episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if everybody lived forever, we'd literally end up shoulder to shoulder without resources and that whole mess. Yeah, and you want to bring in a disease from a alien just so people could pass away.
Well, that's interesting. There's so much easier ways to pass away. Especially in their universe, rather than catching a disease and suffering miserably for several days until you die. I think maybe, any form of capital punishment, a rope would be faster and more painless than that sort of thing. Point A. Point B is that this is solely because they refuse to leave their own planet and expand out. The universe has plenty of resources. Their own solar system could have supported them for thousands of years just with they had some belief or something, right? That kept them on that planet. And then, if I remember right, he could occasionally they'd lose control of their system or whatever they were having a hard time with, and he could hear the heartbeats of all the people pressed up against the ship. I think if I remember right, they even talked about how valuable the space it was that they took up to make that ship to trick him into doing those things, because they don't have any space. So in order to take up and make that set to trick him, that was a good episode. It was good stuff. I've never seen it.
You had to use your imagination when you watch the old TV shows. It's true. Awesome the CGI they have nowadays. It truly is. The sound systems and the rumbling seats in the theater and everything. It is great. It is great. But there is something to be said for the old stuff where you had to rely on some imagination and if you see the string holding the spaceship, you let it go. You just let it go. It was okay.
That's true. Well, one of the things really back then, it was all new. It was all. They were doing cutting edge stuff, the Star Trek stuff, the original series. That was one of the first TV shows in color. And that's why when you go back and watch it, they were told to really every color everywhere. They just have lights over there with filters shining purple and green and yellow and all kinds of colors on the walls in the background when they're in McCoy's office just talking. They really, really kicked ass with the colors. By the way, there's a lizard on his wall for those of you who don't know. McCoy's office in the original series, big lizard about that big on his wall.
Can I share a
yes, there's a share button
here. Oh, there's a share screen. Okay. Now this is a terrible picture. A friend of mine snapped it. I think I wasn't ready to say cheese or anything, but I was at Kings Island. This is like 25 years ago or something. You can tell by the size of the shorts, right? We wear shorts.
Yeah.
And we'd been there 2 days. This is at the end of the day, the second day, water park and everything. We came back in the evening. It was getting cold, so that's why I got a flannel on. I looked terrible. But anyway, they had Paramount had bought out Kings Island, and they had characters running around, you know. And I kept missing out. We're in line for rides and everything, you know, and Klingon would walk by or whatever. I'm like, oh. So we went with another couple. So there was a Ferengi, and she said, get over there. And she snapped my picture to make sure that I got a picture. But there it is. I do have a picture with a Ferengi.
There you go.
I need a smile.
I was going to call you a liar about it, but you have a picture.
Yeah, but you can see my hair is a mess. I mean, you know, 2 days at an amusement park, you know, I was ready for a good rest, but there's my picture with a Ferengi. So there you go.
Very cool. Left-Handed Jedi said, seeing Spock smile in the pilot feels strange. If you go back and watch the pilot, you'll notice that Spock is also limping. And that is due, if you remember in the pilot, they even talk about how Pike and the crew had just gone through something, some mission had gone wrong. And not only did Pike have a hard time because of what happened in that mission, but also Spock apparently had been injured, and that was why he was limping during the original pilot episode. The layers upon layers. Good morning, Spooky Bed Hair. Thank you for joining us.
Then
yeah,
even right
Go
before McCoy passed away, him and Captain Kirk got together and they did that commercial. Remember, in the cars? I think it was maybe a Super Bowl commercial. They roll up on each other or something, and
yeah, it wasn't McCoy, it was Leonard Nimoy. Spock.
Yeah, Nimoy. I meant. Yeah.
So it's Spock and the new Spock.
I've been looking through the list of names here, and I'm getting them jumbled up.
Gotcha.
No worries. Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, and Captain Kirk. William Shatner, where they did a car commercial, and that was like right before Leonard Nimoy passed away.
Yes,
they had gotten together one more time, so that was neat.
That's right. Leonard Nimoy what was the other actor's name who played the new Spock? Oh, I really enjoy him too. Anyway, watching those two in I think it was a Cadillac commercial racing, and then the young Spock actually beats the old Spock to the golf course, but before he can get in, the old Spock gives him the neck pinch, and that was a good one. That was good. Yeah, later, Jesse.
The new movies, I love those too.
Yes. Links, care for the puppy. Gotcha. No worries. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. Like I said, I'm doing it a little early because we got things going on. It's going to be a very busy day today.
Me too. Chris got me up early, and I got a show to do later, so it's going to be a long day. And but I had fun being here. Thanks, Chris. And
thank you. Enjoyed it.
Gotta get my fingers together. All right, live long and prosper.
Yes. Live long. You guys all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you sometime probably tonight. If you go over and catch his stream, go subscribe to Captive Desk, Dave over there, and watch for tonight. Hit the notify button. I'll be over there hanging out with him. We're going to talk more Star Trek. Yes, get the links there from Jesse Bear and check that stuff out. Thank you all, and I hope you all stay warm and safe today. Okay? All right. We are off to save the world. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Let me hit this button.
Thank you, and have a great day.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. tone. Confession booths, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goat's the scent that leads the way. Clean your slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink, light the goat